My name is Hakeem Brown, and I can't breathe.
Hakeem and Reggie Brown are two young black boys. They were so upset with the current situation in the world, they started their own podcast. They grew up in the suburbs until their parents got divorced. They were homeless, living in the streets. Now they live in the ghetto with their grandmother. This is their story. This is Pop City Culture. Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
What up, my people? Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Reggie. So, thank you for that intro.
Yo,
my
you're
name
welcome.
Is Hakeem Brown, and that was my brother, Reggie
Yeah, that
Brown.
was me chilling. You know what I'm saying?
This is Pop City Culture.
Culture.
I hope you guys like what we're doing. We're going to be talking about a lot of things today. We're going to be
whole
talking
lot of
about
things.
wildfire, Black Lives Matter and the riots, and peaceful protesting. What exactly is that? What exactly do we want to accomplish as African Americans in the state of all these riots?
Well, I'll tell you, man, we want to get our voices heard and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Reggie, but, lately I've been reading about Seattle, and in Seattle, they have some riots going on.
Yeah, man, it's out
And
of
those
control.
riots are not good, I'll tell you.
You ain't got to tell me.
Basically, police officers are getting hurt. But people are being dragged and assaulted from their cars. What do you think about that?
Yo, man, you know what I think. I told you I don't like all that violent stuff, but, we got to get our voices heard. Don't you understand that? A lot of this stuff started from the George Floyd thing.
Okay, I know, but we're going to talk about that soon. But right now, people want peaceful protesting, and I don't know if this thing has morphed into something worse as far as getting the voices of our people heard out there, Reggie. What do you think?
Yo, man, why you keep asking me what I think? I hope this ain't going to be one of those shows where you just keep trying to put me on the spot.
Reggie, calm down. I'm not trying to put you on the spot,
Sounds like it.
but I am trying to do something here. I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going on in our cities. Because right now, the cities look like they're just falling apart. And a lot of the cities, are under Democrat politicians.
Yo, man, what's that got to do with anything?
Well, they're supposed to be the voice of our people, and they should be saying something about what's going on, don't you think?
Well, of course I think they should be saying something, but, maybe they busy. You know what I'm saying?
Reggie, politicians should not be too busy to take care of their people.
Hakeem, I know that. But the bottom line is they may have stuff to do. They just don't sit in their office all day eating donuts. Is that what you think? Hakeem, you going to answer me?
Well, Reggie, I'm thinking maybe they eat donuts all day. I don't know what they do. But the only time I think I really hear from our politicians is when something bad happens or when it's around voting time, which is, right now. But anyways, the officers are getting hurt in Seattle, and they're getting pretty disgusted. I mean, who wants to go to a job and just get beat on all day?
Well, I'm telling you, they be beating on us too. Don't you think? You see all the videos on YouTube and social media and stuff. Don't you see that?
Yes, Reggie, I see that. But you got to understand something. These police officers, they have families too. What if Dad was a police officer? He's trying to make sure everybody's safe. I mean, every police officer is not bad, do you think?
I know, Hakeem, every police officer is not bad. But like I've said before, if a bunch of officers know something bad is going down and they don't say nothing, they're just as guilty as the one doing the illegal thing, like beating on a brother or a sister,
Yes, Hakeem, I know. And maybe that's what we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on retraining the police force and making sure they know what to do and how to act, because obviously it has gotten out of control. So, there is a police officer who was caught on video. I didn't see the video, but the officer said, "I'm done. Congratulations, Black Lives Matter. I'm resigning."
Well, that's his choice. If he wants to resign, then, he wants to resign and nobody's stopping him.
Reggie, but if he resigned, if every police officer resigned, who would police the neighborhoods?
Yo, man, we can police our own neighborhoods, don't you think? I mean, we know what's going down.
Yes, Reggie, but in the black community, if we know what's going down, why haven't we policed it before? I mean, every time a crime happens, nobody wants to come forward. It's like everybody says, "I didn't see nothing,"
Yo, man, that's because nobody be wanting to get shot. Nobody wants to be, a rat, man. Nobody wants to be selling out our own.
But Reggie, this is our neighborhood. We have to protect our neighborhood. We have to make sure people are safe. And if we already know where all the crack houses are, or if we know who's selling drugs to who, and that's destroying our community, don't you think we as black people have an obligation to make sure we get that kind of stuff out the neighborhood and off the street? Don't you think we owe it to inform law enforcement agencies what's going on so we are safe? I mean, you don't want your house getting broken into, do you?
Yo, man, of course not. That's because, we got to protect
But
ourselves.
how can you do it, Reggie, without the police? That's what the police are for. That's what they're supposed to be trained for. That's why I keep saying, if we can retrain the police, then, that would be a good thing. Don't you think?
Yeah, of course it's a good thing. But, I'm just saying.
Well, anyways, in Seattle, 18 people were arrested throwing rocks and throwing bottles and fireworks at police officers.
Yo, man, that's some gangster stuff. You shouldn't be throwing fireworks at police. Yo, I know where to draw the line, man. But yeah, that is sort of rough. I wouldn't be doing something like that. Hey, ain't fireworks illegal anyways?
I don't know what the law is in Seattle. Maybe they're gonna outlaw fireworks after this incident. I wouldn't be surprised, but as it stands right now, 3 officers were injured and had to go to the hospital. So I'm just saying, Black Lives Matter, okay? And I know you really hate it, Reggie, when I say all lives matter.
Oh, man, of course all lives matter, but right now we have to focus on the black people because we're just getting beaten down there,
Yes, Reggie, I know, but think about this. What's next? What's next for the future of the black community if this keeps going on? I mean, you can't have riots every single day going on. Is this going to go on for year after year? When's it going to stop? Something has to be done,
Of course I know something's got to be done. I ain't got no answers, but, like we said in our previous podcast, you made a suggestion, police reform. You have to retrain. You have to train these guys. But, I'm going to tell you, I know a couple cops. They some young dudes, man. And, they seem down. They seem like they want to make some changes. So I guess it's our generation who's going to have to make the change because it's like the older generation, they just been brainwashed or something. Maybe it's something in the water, man, or something. I don't know. But, older generation just seem like they be just beating the heck out of people, and they don't care. Yeah, I know.
You brought up George Floyd before, and in case people don't know who George Floyd is, George Floyd was African-American black man, and on May 25th, 2020, he was killed in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yeah, I know, man. That was a sad day, man. They were showing that video all day, all night, all week. It was terrible.
Yeah, Reggie, it was. And during the arrest, he was arrested for allegedly using a counterfeit bill. Nobody really knows exactly what happened. The story keeps changing. But in any case, a police officer who arrested George Floyd had his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck. And he screamed.
I know, man, what he screamed. He screamed, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe." And he was crying for his mom. That was a sad day. That was something else, man. That was, yes, Reggie.
That was. So after that, all riots grew in all states. And first, well, I shouldn't say riots grew. It started out as peaceful protest. And then they became very violent. They became almost like what I would call lynching mobs or something.
That's a strong
You
word,
know,
brother.
they were the mob people were the protesters were starting fires.
Yes, they were.
They were stealing, robbing from stores, and all this was being caught on video.
Gotcha on film.
And there were some cases of assaulting people. And I read, I don't know, because I didn't hear a whole lot about this, but there might have been some sexual assaults. But, you
Oh
know,
man, that's terrible, man. I don't condone stuff like that. That just ain't right. Now that's just going way overboard, you know. Although, we did on our last podcast. We were talking about people looting and hooting and stealing sneakers and all that stuff out of stores. But you made me do some soul searching and thinking. You know, like if that was my store, yeah, I'd be upset. I wouldn't want people stealing from my store. But I guess that's sort of going over the line, as far as, peaceful protesting.
well, Reggie, I'm glad you see that because, people do have these stores and, they work their lives trying to make something out of themselves because they don't want to, live off a system or they want to be independent. So, I'm glad you and I see eye to eye on that. So, people are tired. But in all this stuff, there are people saying Antifa is responsible for most of the mayhem.
Yo, man, well, I really don't know what Antifa is. Do you know what that is?
Well, I can tell you from what I know. Okay, so the movement called Antifa gets its name from a short form of anti-fascist, which is about the only thing its members agree on. President Donald Trump and some far-right activists and militants have claimed Antifa for allegedly conspiring to foment violence amid the protests sweeping across the U.S. The group is described as the centralized collection of individual activists who mostly use non-violent methods to achieve their ends. But their goal is to resist the spread of fascism. That word can be exact term. But generally, Antifa activists see fascism as a violent enactment of enforcement of biological and social inequities between people. Do you know what I mean?
Huh? No, I don't really know what that means, but, can you explain it more?
Okay, listen. People think there's a group within the peaceful protesters who are coming in and doing all the violent stuff, and it's ruining the message that people are trying to get across in the peaceful protesting. You remember, Hakeem, we learned about Martin Luther King?
Yeah, man, I remember him.
Well, can you tell me anything about him?
Of course I can, man. He was born Michael King Jr. I think he was born January 15th, 1929. And he died April 4th, 1968.
Yeah, that's right. And he was an American Christian minister and activist who became the most visible spokesperson and leader in the civil rights movement from 1955 until he was assassinated in...
Yeah, 1968. I just said that, man. Ain't you listening? Man, I think you ask me questions you don't even want to listen.
Reggie, I'm listening.
Well, I don't think so.
So anyways, King is best known for advancing civil rights through nonviolence and civil disobedience, inspired by his Christian beliefs and the nonviolence activism of Gandhi. You know Gandhi, right?
Yeah, man, there was a movie on him. I didn't see the whole movie, but yeah, there was a movie. He was a peaceful guy. He looked cool, man. He looked like he was getting the job done. I know he's a good guy, spiritual guy, so yeah, I know Gandhi.
That's right. And Martin Luther King, he led peaceful protests. They would have sit-downs, and everything was nonviolent. I mean, they didn't burn anything. They didn't break into people's houses. They didn't do a lot of stuff like that. They didn't call negative attention towards them. I mean, sure, there was attention, but it was more in a noticeable way. Not like, look what these people did. They turned cars over and blew them up. Look what they did. They maliciously burnt down a kiosk or a house. Look what they maliciously did. They broke into a store and stole all the jewelry, all the sneakers, clothes. come on. Reggie, that's not right, do you think?
Yo, man, of course that ain't right. That's beyond gangster, man. 'Cause I don't think gangster would be doing stuff like that. That's like devil gangster, man.
So I guess we can agree, peaceful protesting is a little better. Do you know Martin Luther King led in 1955 the Montgomery bus boycott that later became the first, and he later became the first president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference.
No, I didn't know
and
that.
as president of that, and helped organize the nonviolent 1963 protest in Birmingham, Alabama. He also helped organize in 1963 the March on Washington, D.C., where he delivered his famous what?
Yo, man, that was his I Have a Dream speech, and he did that on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial.
That's right. Also on October 14th, 1964, Dr. King won the Nobel Peace Prize for combating racial inequities through non-violence resistance. So that goes to tell you the whole world was looking when all of this stuff was happening, because he was a symbol of peace, and that's really good. He wasn't a symbol of violence. And that's something we really need today.
We sure do.
Outside of that, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom and a Congressional Gold Medal. And we also have the Dr. Martin Luther King Day holiday.
One of my favorites.
Which is recognized in the States. And there's also a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial on a national mall in Washington, D.C. That was dedicated in 2011,
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so Reggie, this is the thing, I think that there has been so much going on during these protests. I mean, we had a protest in the 60s because back then when we protested, black people, they were getting dogs sicked on them, which means police dogs were attacking the protesters.
Man, that's cold.
There were also water hoses being sprayed on the black people, and they were being beat down. They were being treated worse than dogs. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, no, man. I've seen a whole lot of that on social media and historical archives. And, black people, they were treated pretty bad. But, I guess, they didn't act like we do today. I don't know why they act like they do today, because, we should be doing the same kind of peaceful protesting. Maybe things might get, done quicker, maybe.
Reggie, I'm proud of you for saying that, because the bottom line is I think if there was more peaceful protests like that, things would get done a lot better. But we have to realize that we learn from history, good or bad. And if we took Dr. Martin Luther King's example of peaceful protesting, I think we would be in a way better place.
Man, of course we'd be in a way better place. That dude, man, he had his stuff together, man. He knew how to talk to people. He knew how to organize and all that stuff.
Okay, so do you think we have made a lot of progress in the years since Dr. Martin Luther King?
Well, I don't know. I would say, a little bit. I mean, we don't have to sit in the back of buses, and we don't have to sit in the back of restaurants. Because I remember in the 60s, I was hearing you couldn't even sit at the counters. You couldn't even go in the front door without getting looked at or walked out, or the police called on you or handcuffed or something.
Yeah, you're right. And, we also can go to the movie theaters without sitting in the up balcony or behind the thing. But the biggest thing, Reggie, is that we can use the same water fountains and the bathrooms. Where we live, they took down the last water fountain, the black water fountain, and the white water fountain. Dad showed us where that was downtown.
I remember that.
And that was something, but that's some of history. They probably should have kept that, as history, because I think that would have been good. You just can't keep tearing down history,
Yeah, I know, man. We got to do a podcast on tearing down history, because I think that would be a good one, tearing down history.
Yeah, you're right, Reggie. I think we'll probably do that in the next few weeks. But, right now, I just want to say that, we have done good in the last 30 years. A lot of black people have become senators and congressmen and political activists. There's a black entertainment television. And you see a lot of black people and people of color, not just black people. You see Asians, Latino, Indian. You see everybody in the news.
Like reporters, right?
What I really like is the diversity in the movies, especially Marvel.
My favorite.
Marvel and DC. There's a lot of diversity now. So a lot of people are being heard. And who would have thought that we would have had a black president like...
Yo, man, my man, Barack Obama. Yeah, that's right. Barack Obama, he my man. Yeah, if I was old enough to vote, I would have voted for him too, because he did a lot of things.
Yes, Reggie, he did. And the fact that he became a president, being a black president, I think he's biracial too. But, being a black president, that's an accomplishment, for our people that, we've struggled through the years. So I think, we are doing very good, and we're on the right track as far as, as far as being people who really want to get ahead and see a bright and better future. So, what do you think the world will be like tomorrow, Reggie?
Yeah, man, I just hope it's a good world, but, I do sort of have to agree this violence has got to stop. We got to start having some kind of talk and some kind of dialogue, because this is sort of getting ridiculous. You just can't be like still rioting. I mean, what happened was terrible and vicious, but we got to do something. We got to make a change, man. I'm beginning to think, we talking, communicating, man. That's how we got to do it,
That's right. And I'm just wondering, what will our children say in the future about the time we are living in? And they look back, will they be proud? Will they be sad how we were? So, with that being said, you know what time it is?
Yo, man, I know what time it is. Time for you to be quiet, man. Time for you to do your little...
Reggie, that's right. I'm going to do my words of wisdom. So, right now, here are my words of wisdom. There are many theories of how human beings became to be. Some say that we evolved from the ape, that we were the higher thinkers, and this is what we became. Others say that God created us, and we are the offsprings of Adam and Eve. Then there are so many others who say how we became to be. But no matter how we got here, we are here. And look at us. Have we evolved in the last 1,000 years? Have we learned to live together as one people? We fight amongst each other. And we could be so much more. There is so much more to us. We can care. We can love. When we fall, we get up. And the most important thing, the very most important thing, is that we have to survive. I hope and pray for the day where we can have respect for one another, the respect that we deserve. I hope one day we can live in peace and not worry about anyone we love getting hurt. Everyone wants to go home to see their families, everyone of all colors. And artists, when they paint a picture, they use all the colors they can imagine. They use all the colors on a palette. And when all the colors are on the canvas, there's such a beautiful piece of art. You look at the picture and say, it's amazing. All the colors are together. They work as one. This is how the world should be. The entire world is full of so many people. And the entire world is full of so many colors. When will we realize that each and every one of us are special? When will we realize that we must live in peace and harmony? When will we realize that each and every one of us is special and unique, especially in our own way? When will we realize that all of us matter? We are all the piece to a beautiful puzzle, and when one is left out, it is incomplete.
That was beautiful, man. I like that. Hakeem, I like what you said.
Thank you, Reggie. Well, I want to thank everybody for listening to Pop City Culture. I would usually close by saying goodbye, but I'm going to do something special today. I want to let these words of wisdom resonate with you forever. This is Martin Luther King in Washington, D.C., the March on Washington, D.C., and this is his I Have a Dream speech from August 28th, 1963. Thank you, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. We will never forget.
I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Five score years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. This nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is a faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania, let freedom ring. From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the curvaceous slopes of California. Not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring. And when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.